Renaissance. So what is Renaissance? Renaissance is something like a cultural and intellectual movement. Happens in the 14th to the 17th century, which is a transition period from the medieval times to modern Europe. Yep. So it actually started on the Italian peninsula. So we normally tell people it's just Italy would be fine. Because it preserved many Roman legacies. It's very rich. Okay. What's its major feature? So, it's what we so call the revival of the ancient Greek and Roman civilization, because of mainly the theories and their art styles. It's something like science related, and maybe art styles and stuff. Revival. It's something called rebirth. The word Renaissance means this, revival. Okay. Also, it's turned human-centric. It's emphasizing on humanism and challenging traditions. Yep. So, next. So, causes. Number one, it's the rise of the wealthy city-states. Because people are very rich. They are because they are trading centers, major trading centers. So these rich people decided to support the work of the scholars and artists. Because they're rich, they have too much money. They want to spend their money, and decline of the feudal society. So there are many people because in the past, most people, the peasants, they are working in the maintenance, and they're like serfs. They have no freedom, but now because of the decline of the feudal society, they are leaving the manors and become what we call the freemen. They have more time, so they have nothing to do, so they decide to learn and do something for art. And Eastern knowledge is from the Arab civilization because of the Crusades. Crusades is quite important. Crusades is something from the 11th to the 13th century. Something is about the decline of the church influence. It's about this church influence, because it's something with Arab versus Christians, and the Christians lose. I remember that. Okay, not important. And rise of the universities, because why there's rise in the universities? Because the wealthy people decided to support the work of scholars, and also they want to have teaching universities, so they can study other subjects such as science and language stuff in a free environment. So they can study something. So with those Asian Roman Greek code, those legacies. Okay. And Crusades. The value of Crusades is the first reason, and the second one is the new knowledge from the universities and Arab civilization. Because in the past days, the church is like 100% control the people's mind, and then now the people, they gonna receive new knowledge from the Eastern civilization, from the Arab civilizations, from the university. They learn new stuff, and they are like different from the church teaching, so they decide to trust those with more evidence. Development. Okay, this is quite important. Firstly, it's literature. Literature is something they're affected by humanism, so they are worrying about worldly affairs. Latin, they are using ancient Roman literary skills. They are using their native language, right? But before they used Latin, and now they use this native language. They want to make sure more people can read it. More people can read about it, so they decided to do so. And poems, Dante, it's very nice. The Divine Comedy, and novels is Boccaccio, Dante, Divine Comedy, and Shakespeare is something related to Hamlet, this play. Painting is super important, okay? Paintings. It's three-dimensional. We realistic. It's before this unrealistic. They use the techniques of perspective and shadowing. So it's pretty lifelike, lifelike human bodies and facial expressions, because they have the proportion. They have started to have the idea of proportional. Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Raphael, three master artists. Then it's the themes from the Bible. They got some facial expressions and body movements, lights, shadow. So it's very realistic, realism. Gothic style. They have tall pointed buildings, flying buttress, stained glass, proportional, harmonious, and rational, because of their duplicating the Greco-Roman architectural style with something like stone pillars, pediments, semicircular arcs, domes, colonnades. Before they use theology to explain everything about universe, something like they claim that geocentrism, diseases, God's punishment, prohibit dissection of the sacred human body because they think it's sacred, so they don't want to dissection. And now they got something new, discoveries in both aspects of medicine and astronomy. They got a Castro for bacteria, claiming that Facilicus claiming that's of dissection, Copernicus about this heliocentrism, sun-centered. Galileo affirmed this because of his telescope. Influence. So it's about humanistic education. They have some talented Renaissance men. They have some ideas, new ideas. Free mind of European candy. They have rational thinking. Spirit of exploration is milestone for these coming up cultural movements such as Reformation, Voyage of Discovery, Scientific Revolution, and Enlightenment. It trigger people not to obey these traditional authority blindly because of those. Then they have the ideas of liberation and freedom. So Reformation is a religious movement split out of the Christian Church, 16th to 17th century, and reforms of Roman Catholic Church. The causes are firstly the Christians are starting to question the church because as they found inaccuracies in the Latin Bible. Dutch theologian Erasmus published this so-called New Testament. Christians they're questioning the church. They're asking the church, why? Hello, why you're doing this? This is not correct. This is not concise. They found inaccuracies in those Latin Bibles. This guy, Dutch theologian Erasmus, published this New Testament in original Greek version. And number 1 is they question the church. Number 2 is the king start to discontent with the church because they want to regain their power because they think because of the decline of church. So they want to regain their power because they think the church is now, they do not need to obey because the church is now so weak. Wrongdoings of church mass selling of indulgence, because indulgence is something if they sell this for claiming that they can reduce sufferings in the purgatory, something like the hell, and because they want to build the church, St. Peter's Basilica Church. Let me spell the word here. St. Peter's Basilica. St. Peter's Basilica Church. Martin Luther is a person that he published this 95 Theses. So it criticized the church, the wrongdoings of church, and it's translated into many languages, so it spread through Europe and excommunicated from the church and set up a new sect called Lutheranism. Lutheran. Martin Luther. Followed by Calvinism and Anglican Church, and formed the Protestantism. The Counter-Reformation of the Roman Catholic Church. So what did it do? It suppressed this Protestant church. It granted more rights to rulers, recognizing some societies' impact. So it has a bit of conflicts because it's split into Roman Catholic Church and Protestant Church. So as this caused military conflicts such as the 30 Years' War from the 1680s to the 1648. And political separated religion from politics. So now they have this absolute rule. And economic development to glorify God by working hard. I don't think this is real, but anyways. To religious tolerance and freedom. This is an education to preach. So this is like a start of liberty and democracy because they grant tolerance and especially freedom. Next one. Scientific revolution is scientific studies. So it's actually starting in the 17th century. Yeah. So causes is very simple. Modern science rise during the Renaissance period and printing press. Because, Renaissance triggered this, and also the printing press. Because so they have academic exchange. So printing press, Renaissance. Okay, and then voyage of discovery, because they success, so it just widen their horizons and encourage them to do circumnavigation. Okay, voyage of discovery, and they have some independent scientific bodies formed, like Royal Society of London, for improving natural knowledge, and scientific methods such as Kepler, Harvey, Boyle, Newton, law of universal gravitation, chemical elements, experiments on animals, and Kepler's law. It's something about honor, inspiring the mindset, the rational thinking, and skeptical attitude to their opinions. So it caused enlightenment later on, and also apply these theories. So industrial revolution. So what is technically industrial revolution? It's like a technological advancement from the mid 18th to the late 19th century. Causes rapid growth and population. It has labor and rising demand of goods. World trade, so meeting the global demand, because if there's a demand increase, supply also increase. Accumulation of huge amount of capital. Accumulation They largely invested on new machines because they want, if there's more production, there will be higher profits. And an application of advanced science because they think after the Renaissance and scientific revolution. Why in Britain, you may ask? Why isn't it in Britain but not in other places, not in America? Because at that time, the Britain is called like something like why it's called like this? Because it has colonials around the world. Okay, it's very strong. And this is like after the French Revolution, and Britain is very strong. Yeah. So rich in natural resources, it has many. Just rich and over many colonials is like one reason, simple reason. They have quite a lot of cheap raw materials and markets. Probably, most importantly, is raw materials. It's cheap. Cheap is money. They don't need to, like, other countries need to have $10 to buy something, and they only need $1 to buy that. So they can buy like 10 times. So it's quite different. And closure movement, the government wants their farmlands back, so those British farmers, they work in factories and become the major labor force because they lost the farmland simply. And support by government, 1923, the British government passed a sorry, I spelled the word wrong. Is this patent law to protect the rights of inventors. So if you invent something, if you go to have your invention has been granted a patent, whatever anyone wants to use your ideas or inventions, they need to pay you money. So encourage those scientists and sponsor this Royal Society. Is like a scientific body also. So you can see this very simple thing. So mechanize, age of machines, industrialization. It's like even main pillar of the national economy, urbanization. So firstly, it started in the textile industry and then heavy industries. So firstly, it's got what we call technological revolution. So it's something like spinning jelly and power loom. So it starts in the textile because people, they are doing something like knitting or so, I don't know, they're having clothing stuff, textile stuff. And power revolution, so it covers steam. Okay, then transportational revolution, because people apply this idea of steam to those transportations, like steamships, steam locomotives. So, and they spread to other places, European countries, US and Japan. Because why US? Why would you emphasize US? Because it's colonials or so. And French Revolution is filing from 1789 to the 1799. Okay. Firstly, Bourbon dynasty have this absolute rule in France, but Louis XVI failed to solve those problems, and failed to solve financial and social problems, also living an extravagant life himself. So it's very he is very quite unpopular, we can say. And number 2, I suppose, we have a strict class division and unequal treatment. We can see from this diagram. So first and second estate, they got special rights. They don't need to pay tax. They have a luxurious life. And in first estate, they have majority of the people, like even 98%, and they have no say in government. They have a heavy tax burden. So they think it's unfair. So there's discontent among the third estate. And number 3, it's the financial crisis. It has fought many wars before financial crisis. Support the American Revolution because U.S. is suppressed by UK and U.S. decided to fight back the Britons. They didn't decide to revolution. They decided to resist this oppression, and the UK and French, they are enemies. So this France decided to support this US. Yeah, his court lifted luxuriously because money. Tax income was greatly reduced because of natural disaster, crop failure. They have no food to eat. He indeed to attempt to impose those taxes on the first and second estate, but he obviously failed. And number 5, inspiration of Enlightenment and American Revolution. So what is Enlightenment? Enlightenment is something like mindset. I don't know. It's something like ideas of liberty, equality, and civil rights. They want to challenge this absolutism. Immediate cost for me because of the social instability, because of death for me, then no food, then inflation. So they do have money, but we can simply write it as skyrocketing prices. They can't afford that. So many people run to Paris because they're trying to think about, the Paris is like a city, it's like urban. They must have food, they must have jobs for us to do, so they all went there, and this caused social instability. And calling of the estate generals. They got in May, they got bankruptcy actually, so they want to have tax reforms. So, and the first and second estate, they decided to have one estate, one vote, while the first, because they are the minority of the people, and the first estate insists to have the one head, one vote, which is opposed by the first and second estate. Because of this fairly unfair treatment, they decided to withdraw with the estate generals and have the National Assembly. Then they have the tennis court oath in June 1789. They would not disband, and they want him to introduce a constitution, and also the political power belongs to the people because they think outbreak. I didn't actually specify it more because it's the 25th of the June. July. They got something. July 14th is now their national day. They attacked the Bastille to seize weapons because they heard that the government intends to suppress them because of their tennis court oath. So they are angry. They want to, revolute. They don't want to just got this anymore. So in August, they proclaimed the National Constituent Assembly. It's the whole word, National Constituent Assembly. Constitute Assembly. They decided to proclaim the Declaration of the Rights of Men and of the Citizens. They are born free and equal, and people enjoy rights, and the power of the government comes from people. And the 1791, this Louis XVI was forced to accept this constitution passed by the National Constituent Assembly. He's forced to accept, and it became a constitutional monarchy. It's like the power of the king was limited by the constitution. In 1792, the European rulers are worried that the French Revolution may spread to the countries and their people may also revolt against their absolute rule. So they start to attack France, and then this is called the French Revolutionary Wars. In the 1792, the first French Republic is formed. They have the Reign of Terror. Is like a racial revolutionaries. Robespierre then directory, then they cannot rule this country. So eventually Napoleon established this absolute rule. Napoleonic era is he suppressed revolutes. He defended France against foreign invasions from the anti-French coalitions or whatsoever. So he's a national hero. In 1799, he set up the consulate and he became the first consul. And 1802, and he becomes the consul for life. It carried out reforms, ending serfdom, privileges of nobles and clergy. It promotes education and have a new tax system. The Code Napoleon said it further affirmed this rights of humans claimed and the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizens. So then 1804 he set up this first French Republic and made himself emperor. He remapped Europe. So we got some Napoleonic Wars. He's quite aggressive. He's quite ambitious. He wants to just have the whole Europe under his rule. Isn't like quite a contrast with the defensive French Revolutionary Wars. In the 1796, he defeated Austria in the Battle of Lodi. Then in the 1806, he defeated Russia and Austria. So the Holy Roman Empire is like Austrian led, so it's forced to dissolve, and also forming the Confederation of the Rhine, something like a German states, and they are friends with French. Have the continental system to stop European countries from trading with Britain. The Peninsula War, because people trade with Europe, so the Portugal. Then Russian campaign, also same reason, but it's all both end in failure. Then in the 1813 is the Battle of the Nations. The Russia, Austria, Prussia, Britain, they all gathered together and defeated France. So Napoleon was abdicated and exiled to Elba. Then later on he fled back to France, and he got the Battle of the Waterloo against the anti-French coalition. Influence. So what is the influence? So it got the ideas of liberalism and nationalism to rise. Okay, what is liberalism? Liberalism is people born free and equal, and people have the right to overthrow an absolute rule government, because the political power belongs to the humans. So in France, they got some liberty, equality, and fraternity as the slogan of their French Revolution, the Declaration of the Rights of Humans and of the Citizens, the Code Napoleon, to affirm this. Okay, in Europe, it conquered many European countries and it carried out liberal reforms. Again, nationalism, people, they got a belief that people with a common history, religion, language, costume, so it's technically as a group of people of same nationality should join together and govern themselves, but not by other foreign countries. So in French, because the French almost dominating Europe during the Napoleonic era, so French people are super proud of their country. And in Europe, the rule of Napoleon encouraged them to fight for national liberalism. And these nationalist revolutions and unification movements broke out. So, revolutionary tides in Europe. What is this? European rulers, especially of Austria, Prussia, Russia, and Britain, they held the Congress of Vienna. So this is something they aim to restore the old order of Europe. They want to prevent the French further expansion. They want to stop the spread of liberalism and nationalism. So actually, and this Russia, and what did they do? They restored those dynasties overthrown, and they redraw the map of their Europe according to their interests. And under this, and also the Russia, Prussia, Austria, these countries, they form holy alliance. They want to have this absolute rule maintained. Okay, so most European countries are under absolute or foreign control, and they start to have revolution against broke out. So rulers are forced to make concessions to have like a constitutional rule, such as Italy and Germany. They have been unified.